What's up, guys? This is Dan for BladeReviews.com, back again for another knife review. This time around we're going to be checking out the Benchmade Volli, a knife that I almost wasn't going to record a video review on, but I'll tell you what, the Benchmade Volli really does earn the airtime here. It really is a great user knife, and in the world of collectors and enthusiasts being obsessed with the latest and the greatest, I think that it's worth focusing on something like this that maybe isn't the most amazing from a technology and material standpoint, but just really works and just is a great knife. So I've got it next to the Griptilian here, and no coincidence there. As you can see, the Griptilian's a bit longer than the Volli. The Volli has a 3¼ inch blade, overall length of just under 8 inches, and weighs a hair over 4 ounces. So it's a full-size knife. For me, it's more of a weekends kind of carry when I can use and carry around something a little bit bigger than when I'm at work. So great utility knife, could be an EDC for you. And very practical. So let's pull the Griptilian off the table, take a closer look at the blade on our Volli here, and what you have is a classic drop point. My favorite aspect of the blade is the fact that it's just been ground extremely thin, very nice, almost full flat grind here, and the knife performs very thin behind the edge, cuts and cuts and cuts. Just an outstanding tool here. And again, that doesn't always get mentioned these days, but I'll mention it here. It's just a great knife if you're looking to just cut stuff up. I've got some footage of some rope and some wood, but I've also used this on cardboard, food prep, you name it, the Volli's done it, and it has passed all my tests with flying colors. The steel on this one is S30V, which, as I'm sure you're aware, is not the most amazing super steel these days. Still, it's a perfectly serviceable steel, and actually Benchmade's done an excellent job heat treating this one. This is probably the best S30V blade I've ever handled from a sharpening standpoint. Edge retention is very good, polishes up quickly on my strop, or if I want to take it to my ceramic rods and my sharp maker, and in no time at all, it's back to business, which I can't always say about S30V. Some of my other S30V blades can be pretty stubborn when it comes time to sharpen them up, so worth mentioning here. Anyhow, let's move on to the handle, and what we have here are full G10 handle scales over stainless steel liners. The liners are blackened, they've been skeletonized to lighten the weight a little bit, and as you can see, the knife is nicely assembled. All the pieces and parts line up really well. You've got almost a full backspacer here. It's a plastic backspacer. The G10 handle scales have been 3D machined, and the liners are nested inside. Kind of an interesting detail. Everything's screwed together, and they've done a good job with the fit and finish on this knife. So good construction. In hand, the Volli is very comfortable. All the edges have been rounded, and it's not a super thick knife, and actually we'll talk about that in a bit, but it does fill the hand a little bit here. It is plenty handle for even larger hands. There's no jimping on this one, which is great because there's nothing to bother your thumb when you're actually trying to cut stuff. So I think that it's a very comfortable and ergonomic knife. Moving on to the pocket clip here, you have Benchmade's standard split arrow pocket clip, which is straight out of their parts bin. You've seen it before on my channel, and probably if you collect Benchmade knives, you've got one in your collection too. So you know exactly what to expect with the Volli and its split arrow clip here. It's a practical clip shape here. I like it. I think it suits the knife nicely, allows for ambidextrous deep tip-up carry. It's not super deep, but this is still a discreet knife to have in your pocket. The finish that they've given this clip, it's not the typical kind of painted clip. It's got this different finish on it, and it seems to wear really well. So that's worth noting. Getting a little bit of wear on it, but it's aging gracefully here in my collection, which I like. For deployment, you have ambidextrous thumb studs. If you were to buy this knife new, it would come assisted. My knife is not assisted. It would also have an external safety here, and my knife has neither of those things because I ended up taking it apart and took out the the spring assist. It's a coil spring here. Axis calls it, or excuse me, Benchmade calls it their Axis Assist. It's actually a very strong assisted opener, so if you're into that sort of thing, it certainly is a great assisted opening knife. Personally, I prefer the manual action on my Benchmade Axis locks. Super smooth, silky opening and closing is what I'm used to with all my Axis lock knives, so I wanted that with my Volli, and spent maybe half an hour taking it apart, pulling out the spring, cleaning it, putting it all back together again, and enjoying this one unassisted. Something to note that I think is kind of interesting is that Benchmade has covered the pivot here, so there is no external pivot. In order to adjust this knife, you will need to take off the G10 handle scales here. So my advice would be to use some Loctite if you are going to de-assist it or do any work on the pivot, because it will loosen up on you if you don't use Loctite. That said, my knife locks up very, very solidly. There's no blade play up and down, side to side. I suspect that has something to do with the fact that this knife has full stainless steel liners as well as those G10 handle scales. Solid construction, very sturdy, and makes for an easy knife to open and close one-handed, and again, locks up tightly without any blade play. So that pretty much takes us through all the features of the knife. Carries very well, by the way, didn't mention that, but nice and thin, and the knife really does fit well in the pocket, something that I've really come to enjoy as I've gotten a little bit more, shall we say, seasoned in my knife collecting and carrying and use, so I like that. And I just like the fact that the Volli is no frills, get some stuff done kind of knife here. Really is a good performer. At $100 or a little bit over $100, I think it represents a good value too. Made in the USA. Still premium materials in my book, even if it's not titanium and some sort of unobtainium super steel or whatever. But still, nice materials. This one will work out well for you if you need something to just get work done, not something to sit on a shelf, but to actually ride in your pocket and cut things. The Volli is going to be a great choice, I think. So that's the review, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, this is Dan for BladeReviews.com. Take care, and I'll be back soon with another knife review.